Monk from Uber Rock Television, backstage here at the Limelight in Belfast. Uber Rock TV, the home of kick-ass rock and roll, the home of kick-ass heavy metal, the home of legends. Kick-ass, heavy metal, legends. About 5 months ago, this man destroyed the venue downstairs. The legendary Bobby Blitz Ellsworth from Overkill.
Pleasure, thank you. I don't know if legend is the correct word. You know, you're never a legend when you're mowing your own grass on a Sunday, if you know what I mean.
Or shopping for cat food and stuff like that.
Yeah, cat litter. But it's good to be here, and it's good to be in Belfast. First time for us in our, in our illustrious 35+ year history.
Yeah, what took you so fucking long?
Slow swimmers, like I said on the stage. It's always the
could have been worse. You could have been on the Titanic.
That's 100% true. I mean, the museum's right around the corner.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But it's always being invited. You know, I mean, if we can work it out on paper, we're always going to go. I mean, I think you can obviously see that this is a band that likes to stand on the stage under the lights with good friends. So it, for us, it works out to play. But this was an invite. We have a different interior promoter through Northern Ireland and Ireland, and it's helping us get back to this part of the world again. So
you first played Ireland for the first time only about 2 years ago.
Yeah, 14.
Yeah. So that was a great pleasure to see you, and great pleasure to see you here in Belfast. What was your the first time here? What was your reaction to the Belfast crowd? What do you think was?
Well, pretty rapid, I thought. I thought there was a lot of action, a lot of movement. I thought there was. I was really surprised that so many people knew so many of the words, because we really concentrated on 2 records. We're about to do a DVD for Field of Fire and Horoscope, so the set was jam-packed with probably 90% of those 2 records. But I was surprised everybody knew the words to all that stuff. So somewhere you find that you have impact even though you haven't been there, that you've made friends even though you haven't shook hands yet. That was kind of the feeling I had on the stage.
Yeah, well, we've waited 35 years, so we've had a long time to learn the songs.
We'll make it another 35. I don't think we can. I don't think it's possible.
You mentioned you're about to do a DVD. It's going to be done in Germany. I believe at Oberhausen.
Oberhausen, yeah.
And you're doing Field of Fire and Horoscope back to back and in their entirety.
Entirely, start to finish.
What's the idea behind that?
Well, the idea behind it is, there's a couple of factors that came in. First and foremost, I don't know if this is first and foremost, but one of the factors is that we were supposed to do a DVD years ago for our contract, and decided we just kept putting it off. And then thought, if we're going to do one, let's make it, everybody else does 1 record, let's do 2. That was the next thing. Well, everybody else let's do a tour beforehand to brush up on it. So our feeling was to kind of, the 2-in-1 was kind of the Overkill mentality, let's just say, Overkill values and tradition, to put more in that space than is necessary. So the idea is, let's get it done, let's do it big, and let's do it double. But the thing was contracted by Nuclear Blast years ago. So.
But you've always been as an artist, as a singer, as a frontman, and as a band. The final song of the night, the biggest anthem, summarises what you are about. It's fuck you. You don't conform. So that whole two albums.
Don't think of it as conformity. Think of it this way: it's an ever-changing world. You always have to reinvent your business. And when people are not necessarily buying records, you have to figure out ways to have injections of cash come in.
I like to win new fans.
And I'm not trying to be an asshole or a greedy person, but the other side of it is that you have to reinvent. And you have to be able to understand that you have to keep visible. You have to offer different products. You have to reinvent the business. And that's part of it. So it was never conforming to somebody else's our contractual obligation to them. It was waiting for the right time with us.
To do it your way.
To do it our way. Right, correct.
Yeah. So you've been around 35 years, 17 albums, and you say you constantly offer a new product, you need to keep reinventing yourself. You're probably the most productive of the thrash bands in terms of the amount of albums that you have produced. I mean, Metallica have got 6 or 7 albums under their belt, Slayer maybe 10 or 10.
Yeah.
You guys are producing an album every other year. that's part of that business model of keeping it fresh and keeping offering not only the fans something new, but yourself something new.
Well, sure. I mean, we're blue collar. I mean, there's no two ways about it. But I mean, you got to work to earn it. I mean, we're Jersey boys. We understand business. But it's 100% true. This wasn't ever about rock and roll and lifestyle. This was about doing what we wanted to do. To be able to do what we want to do, we have to keep visible. We have to keep a good cash flow coming in. And these are, you usually don't hear this kind of shit in interviews, but I mean, that's just the bottom line. This is not, I don't finish these things and go vacation on desert islands with supermodels. You know what I'm saying? I go home, I cut my grass, I figure out what I'm going to do next for Overkill. And that's really the way it should be, in my opinion, because this is what the life is. That is not necessarily life. It's about playing, it's about producing records, writing records, touring, making merchandise, getting out there, reinventing yourself, and having the opportunity to travel the world.
And it's an expensive business as well, so you need to get that outflow back again.
Like it is expensive. I mean, it's not, but I mean, it's not, I'm not sitting here complaining. I'm not, I don't want you to misinterpret this as a complaint. Really what I'm talking about is just maybe a little of the ins and outs. You started leaning the interview in that direction. It was probably me more so than yourself. But the ins and outs are necessary to understand to be able to continue to do it. And, in our case, we were lucky that when there was a darker days of metal, when metal was not really, it was more of a dirty word than it was, a catchphrase as it is today. We continued on, but we also managed ourselves. So we got to understand the ins and outs of it. So we still manage ourselves to this day. So it's kind of cool to know that my pride lies in the fact that I'm 50% the approval of everything you see from Overkill. Not Nuclear Blast, not anyone else. It's me and Dee Dee Verney who approve those Overkill products that you see. So that's there's a great amount of pride that goes with that too.
Yeah, you're very much in control of your own destiny.
Yeah, I like that shit, man. I like that.
You finish your set with "Fuck You," and your songs have always been, and your music's always been, you do it for yourself. Fuck what everybody else thinks about it. If the fans like it, if the record company likes it, so. Overkill in the early days were one of the angrier bands. It always struck me as being, the ones. Yeah, you say you come from the blue collar background. You come from the, we need to fight to get where we want to go. What keeps you angry today? What keeps you still doing this? Apart from the business side?
Well, I mean, anger turns into experience. I mean, that's the thing. You see an influx of young, metallic, thrash metal, angry young kids these days. I don't even know if they're angry, but they're kind of using the blueprint that happened when, I was just starting in this, and Gary Holt was just starting in this, and Forbidden, and Mark, and James, and Lars, and Kerry, and it's the same blueprint that's being really kind of passed on so many decades later, which shows a lot of value. So there's a lot less anger. I mean, if it was, I don't think I was an angry person. I've always been a happy kind of a guy. I've enjoyed my life. My father always told me I got into this for girls and free beer. And he's fucking right. It's as simple as it is. So there's no anger there. But the reality is that there was chaos, and I think that as this was being created by the people that love this, that chaos eventually turns into what's called controlled chaos as time passes. So the experience gains you control. And therefore you have value in something that should be made for an angry young man. You have the experience to be able to snap the whip when it's the right time and put out a great fucking record. Put out a White Devil Armoury or an Electric Age in the era 30 years past your introduction to the scene.
You mentioned two iconic albums there, your two most recent albums, your two most commercially, your most successful albums, 30-odd years into your career. You finally broke the top 40 in the United States. Is that partially down to the fact, and I know a lot of critics have said this, but the current incarnation of Overkill, this is the longest you've had a single lineup of the band.
Yeah.
And it has been probably your most productive and most creative period, and your most commercially successful. Does the fact that you have that stability in the band lineup fuel that creativity?
Yeah, I mean it's a good point. I do think that first and foremost it has to do with the healthy scene. You know, that guys like you were doing this, and people want to see what you're doing because you're talking to me, or you're talking to Gary, or you're talking to Lost Society, or whoever else is out there. The Evil guys are going to come back around again. You're talking to these people, so there's a want for the whole thing. There's a want for the whole scene. So we're involved in a healthy scene at this point. I think what we're doing is exploiting our good fortune at this time. I mean, we are, again, Jersey guys, and we understand business. So to exploit things, we understand too. But we can do it in a good way because there's winners all the way around the table. That nobody loses that hand of cards if we're exploiting Overkill's good fortune because we're putting out good records. We're putting out good records, good tours. We're going to new places like Belfast. We're going to Dublin for the second time tomorrow. After 35 years, so let's all kind of enjoy this because it's not going to last for fucking ever, So taking advantage of it in a positive way is really what I'm saying. But the good fortune is for sure based on the fact that we obviously like to spend time with each other, and roll dice and smoke cigars and occasionally sip some whiskey.
Good Irish whiskey, of course. Blackbush, can highly recommend it. Although I think there's one or two rock stars who have bad experiences with Blackbush here in Belfast, but we'll not go there. You mentioned about it won't go on forever, but it's going to go on for a wee bit longer because you're about to go in and do album number 18, I believe.
Yeah.
It's about to start recording fairly soon. Can you give us a wee bit of background on?
I can't really it still gives me a hard dick. How am I supposed to say it any other way, I mean, I can explain it forever, but it's really about the way it makes me feel, and it's, it's not contrived, it's not overthought, it's action versus reaction. The action is the riff, the lyric and the melody is the reaction to that riff, and that's kind of like what I really enjoy about this, is that even though I know if you had me on a lie detector test and I would lie all the way through it, I knew in my heart it was going to be an Overkill record.
There's no danger you doing a One Direction
no, it's not possible, right?
Signing to Simon Cowell.
Somebody asked me once, I said, it's somewhere between you two and Sinead O'Connor, and if you added a little Napalm Death to it.
That's a good answer for being in Ireland.
Well, the point is that I enjoy the opportunity, and maybe we are opportunists to some degree. Are we guys in a metal band, or are we guys who understand opportunity? If you want to look at it from a different perspective, this is a band that has 18 records, not necessarily because we are a prolific machine, but we understood how to get through those dark days of metal. There was 80% of the American bands went home and lived with mom and dad. We said we just didn't answer the phone when they told us metal was dead. Metal's dead. You guys got to stop. Yeah, well, fuck you. We're gonna fucking move on. We're gonna do what we want to do. So it's about understanding, about being an opportunist. And when that opportunity comes up, if you are an opportunist, you enjoy it. You go, fucking great, another opportunity. So that's what keeps 18 records, or that's what keeps it going.
Yeah, people said metal was dead. It never was dead.
No.
Maybe it was slightly dormant for a wee while. It took a wee bit of a
It was limping.
took an afternoon nap.
Hey, listen,
as it limped towards middle age.
We had some great gigs during that time. We released records. We always kept the record deal. Just kept going and going. And I mean, it wasn't because we were strong and mighty. Because we were, again, opportunists and could figure out a way around to make this happen. So maybe that's the thing that I like as much being in a metal band, is being able to visualize, accept, and then take the opportunity.
Plus, you didn't spend 6 years doing it note for note.
No.
So you're about to do the new album.
Yeah.
Going into the studio next month, I believe.
We'll send the boys in to do some. I'll go down, but they'll do drum tracks, guitar tracks with it. I mean, they'll play live with them, and then they'll replace the guitar tracks. But it's we have a great one of the things with regard to opportunity is that there are studios within our circle. Dave, Dee Dee, I use a guy, so we can all record simultaneously. It doesn't have to be done in one building. Technology is part of reinventing yourself. So these guys will be getting the drum tracks done. I'll go down for that, and then the guitar tracks will start flying in and out, and then you get an idea in the middle of the night, you can send it to somebody, you know. So there's spontaneity and planning with this record when we have that luxury of time and the luxury of studios. So we're looking to deliver it in our schedule by the end of July to Nuclear.
And release?
October, I think 28th is the slated date. I don't know if that's set in stone, but let's just say the end of October.
And then, of course, you're going to be back out on the road touring again, more than likely.
I would think so. Yeah, I mean, we enjoy it. You know, I mean, it's not like it's you know, we're not the worse for wear from it. You know, we enjoy getting up there and kicking it around. You can obviously see. You know, my wife always says, there he is, big bad Bobby Blitz with all his friends in black, smiling like a little boy at the circus. It's the truth, right? I mean, if you're enjoying it, you should be doing it.
And that sounds like a good note to finish on. Bobby, thanks for your time. Thanks for finally making it to Belfast.
Pleasure.
Glad you didn't take the Titanic. Thanks for your time. This is Mum from Uber Rock Television, signing out. Sayonara. Kick ass, rock